Welcome to another episode of Crossbody Drafts. My name is Evan.
I am Javier.
This week, as you saw in the title and in the little thing somewhere on the screen, we are drafting the most embarrassing, the cringiest wrestling moments or just things in wrestling of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's stuff
a lot.
weekly.
It's not as frequent. When you see it, you know. It's like when you see it, you know it. You're like, oh, that's bad. And
I mean, even out of wrestling, like there's, there was like a thing that Top Dollar posted about like a live event where they cut a promo like to get heat from the crowd, and I was like, this is just like not that good.
no,
It's just not.
So you and I are pretty honest wrestling fans. Sometimes you have to recognize wrestling is kind of embarrassing. It's part of the deal.
Oh, it's so stupid.
But we have fun and we have a good time. But it's important to kind of quantify what are the most embarrassing or cringiest things in wrestling. So I will also say this list skews heavily towards current wrestling because we've had social media. Like,
Yeah,
if you goofed in '93, it was a lot harder to find, right? Or like it didn't live in infamy on Twitter for the next X number of weeks or months.
this is true.
It's easier to hide.
Yeah, it's easier to hide this stuff unless it's like an all-time famous blunder.
Yes. So we will dive into all the most embarrassing things.
We're looking at the sparkly Star Trooper.
I'm sure he'll be on this list. Javier has the draft dime. We are going to flip it. I'll call it in the air. We'll see who gets the first overall pick.
Okay, just want everyone to see.
It's a regulation dime. Yeah, regulation. All right. I'm calling in the air, and it is Tails today.
It actually is Tails today.
Back on the win. Before we started recording, I told Javier I didn't want the first pick.
That's fair, and I don't blame you. There's no favorite in this. Like, there's not one singular moment that matters.
Though genuinely, I do think we talked what is the best first pick. And so I am going to take the Shockmaster's debut in 1993, Fred Ottman debuting with the sparkly Stormtrooper helmet, and he bursts through the wall and immediately loses his head like a Division II mascot getting hit by a kid, and then has to recover. And we've covered this when we did our episode of our regular podcast, Crossbody Work, on Sid, because Sid keeps it together. Like, we covered Fred Ottman, so we covered the Shockmaster, and Sid in that moment keeps it together and does act well. But there was no coming back. You can't do that gimmick anymore. Yeah, it killed a whole. And based on what I could see, the gimmick wasn't good to begin with.
I mean, it was a sparkly. It's essentially a bedazzled Star Trooper helmet.
It was a bedazzled Star Trooper. It was a bad look for a guy who was like a fine worker, but never going to be a top guy. But he was on a team with Sting.
He was a part of Sting's squadron.
He was on the squadron. You know how hard it is to, there's only 4 people on the squadron. I don't know. It was tough.
He was in War Games.
I think that is like a fair number 1 pick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, there's no favorite. There isn't there's not a Caleb Williams in this draft. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's no Victor Wembanyama of embarrassing wrestling.
Yeah. There's a listen, I will say there is one figure who hails supreme in the cringe and embarrassing moments in the history of pro wrestling. He's also, unfortunately, the most influential figure in the history of pro wrestling. Vincent K. McMahon. There's a Rolodex of things that we can go through.
Are you going with Vince for your first pick?
It's not Vince, because I feel like it's unfair for me to say Vince.
Okay.
Because there's so many things with
There are
Vince.
so many things. Where are you going with your first pick?
There was a pay-per-view back in, I want to say it was 2005 or 6, where he runs into John Cena in the hallway.
Oh, Jesus.
And utters the N-word to John Cena.
Yeah.
So my first pick is that.
You hear all the things about Vince saying, the product stagnated. That's why I wanted to sell to TKO. And that's all these, the reason I'm back, and everyone's rolling their eyes. And also Vince saying he wants to live to 120.
Sure, man. And he will. That's the worst part, is that he will. Like, I really do believe that Vince McMahon will live that long just because he's such a spiteful, hateful human being that is just what he's going to do.
Yeah. That was on my list of embarrassing Vince moments, because like it's cringe and embarrassing to see where he has done the embarrassing thing,
I
right?
mean, there's so many. There's just so many.
But with my second pick, just because we're on the topic of Vince, let's go to a time where Vince was embarrassed. The Royal Rumble 2005 had an ending that we've all heard of. John Cena and Batista went over the top rope at the same time, both feet legitimately touching the ground at the exact same time. That was not the intended finish. Vince comes out in a huff, walking the way he does, and he gets to the ring and slides inside, and what happens?
He tears both of his quads.
Both of his quads at the same time, and has to sit in the ring like a petulant child, yelling at Batista and the ref and John Cena about this is how we're doing the. It's so funny.
You know what the worst part is? I think the way that it goes is he tore the first one on impact when he hit the apron,
Yeah.
and then he tore the second one like trying to get up.
The world works in mysterious ways, and I'm happy. Like it's very funny for us. That's a Vince embarrassing moment. That's fun for the rest of us.
Yeah,
I
is.
will still watch the Royal Rumble 2005 and forget it's happening, and then I'll see John Cena and Batista in the final. I'm like, oh, I'm about to see Vince McMahon blow both his quads.
My girlfriend showed me the other night. I think it's like 2 or 3 nights ago. She showed me a TikTok where someone like explains what happened at the end of the Royal Rumble in 2005, and she's like, "What happened?" And I go, "Just watch, just watch."
A man who thinks he's God got his comeuppance from a higher power. It's me, Austin. All right. So we both back-to-back Vince picks there. What do you got for your second pick for embarrassing and cringe wrestling moments?
I'm going back to Vince just because he's on my mind right now.
It.
There was a backstage segment, I could not tell you what year it was, between Vince, Trish Stratus, and Shelton Benjamin, where he said something about like white women going feral for black men or something.
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
And Shelton's just like, what the fuck is going on? And then like at the end, Vince is just like kind of insinuating that because Shelton has a big dick, he should give Vince a little piece. I don't know. There's some interest there. And I'm like,
if you could find me that clip and we can, I don't remember this and I do want to see this. And I don't remember this. Yeah.
Evan, first off, I kind of don't want to send it to you now.
Well, no, I want to put it in the description below so all the people who haven't seen it like me can finally watch it.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
It is.
Anyways, that's my pick.
Vince could be this whole list, so I got to go away from Vince. Let's go to a very recent example that is so funny.
Please.
Let's set the scene. We are in Impact Wrestling.
Oh, thank God.
Victory Road 2022. There is a debut, and it has zero impact, pun intended. Bobby Fish proceeds to come out and cut one of the worst debut promos, segments of all time, and he thought he was cooking. You could tell that he thought he was in his bag.
I mean, where's the lie?
It did give us one of my favorite reaction shots of him on the top rope going, yeah. Like the sleaziest person in the world. But the where's the lie line, like
he did be a sleazy man though.
It's just he's coming out to say he's sick of the bullshit because he left AEW and all these. It's I think one of the worst debuts in history. Like it's up there. It's up there with Shockmaster because it's a self-inflicted wound. Shockmaster, he fell. That shit happens. Bobby Fish went down this road.
I think it's just a level of cringe. It's like one of those cringe things where you literally like you kind of cringe, you know?
Yes.
Like you it's like a second hand like type. It's not even an embarrassment. You just like recoil a little bit on the inside because he's just like, how do you just like exist and do this?
How do you come back from this? How do you
You
go to
don't.
work the next day?
You don't.
Oh my god.
Have you heard from Bobby Fish since this?
No.
There you go. Mine is also a recent example. I don't know when it started, but it's been a thing for the last couple of years now. I would guess
Okay.
the Miz's balls have to be stopped. This has to be stopped. This is cringe. This is I don't even feel embarrassment genuinely. Like I'm not a person that knows what embarrassment is like. It's weird. It's an emotion I don't really understand. Or a reaction because I don't know if embarrassment is an emotion. It's like a reaction that I don't
Yeah.
really understand because I don't get it. The closest I ever get is seeing the Miz and Maurice just talk about his balls.
Yeah.
It's the closest I will ever get to it.
It's super weird. And I get what they're doing of like, oh, like Miz is trying to actually upon further review, I have no fucking idea why they did this.
I don't either. I
Because
don't either.
it doesn't make me like it just makes me not want to hear the Miz, which is hard because I like the Miz and I think he's an excellent talker. Stop talking about your balls.
Yeah. And I love Marie. She's excellent at what she does. She plays off of him so well because they're married. And just to see her be ruined, just kind of ruined by that.
Ruined.
Like I don't even when she's back, I know there's going to be a ball joke, so I don't really care.
Oh, no more balls. All right. I am looking at my list. I have a couple different types of things. I have another like debut.
We have 2 each left, right?
2 more each left. I have one that's it's embarrassing, but like it's and cringe, but it's mainly I don't know. I'm not picking. This isn't my pick, but I just want to talk about it because it's embarrassing that it happened, and it's embarrassing the company let it happen. But like Jeff Hardy at Victory Road 2011,
Yeah,
was just sad.
yeah.
Like,
I would say it's more sad than
it's more sad because for those
thing.
who don't know, Jeff Hardy went out and performed like he was under the influence of something, and he was
multiple things likely
in no shape to perform. He was in the main event against Sting, and the match was weird. Sting had to physically like pin him down to get the win. Sting, it was awkward for everybody. Everyone could tell something was off with Jeff, and like I don't like. It's not embarrassing. It's not cringe. It's just it is one of those moments that sticks out as like one of the weirdest experiences to see, and it is embarrassing for the company that like they let the show like they like decided to go through with the match. Like just pull the match.
Yeah,
he's in no condition to perform.
And right? I get it was like a quick shoot pin for whatever reason, but just like pull him.
Just pull him. Just pull him.
Because it's not like they noticed as he was coming down the ramp. Like you pull him, and so then you insert someone else in there.
Yeah. So instead,
apologize.
I'm glad you said coming down the ramp. So I'll go to a fun one. To the greatest Royal Rumble 2018. And making his way to the ring is Titus O'Neil. And Titus O'Neil trips and does not just trip. He slides all the way into Little People's Court under the ring.
It's like the Cartoon Network. Not Cartoon Network. It's like the Scooby-Dooby-Doo thing.
Yeah. There, like, with like the legs moving. Yeah. It's exactly what it looked like. And he just slid right under the ring. And you know that it was like... It's up there in Vince McMahon's greatest days of his life because they played it on commentary like 46 times after.
Like and then the next time there was like a battle royal or some type of rumble situation. He like came down and he was like, "Oh."
I will say Titus took it like an absolute champ, doing the Titus world slide, t-shirts, and like Titus O'Neil continues to be like one of the best people in wrestling. So it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
An absolute gem. And I love the position that he's in because he doesn't wrestle anymore, which I think is great because I like Titus, but he just wasn't very good at it. But he's like a genuinely smart and like, obviously like a very useful person for them outside of the ring.
Yes, he's a great ambassador to have. Yeah.
He's probably one of their most important people off camera as far as any of the performers that they have. So I love that he's still going. But yeah, this was.
It's so funny, and it's harmless fun. It's so funny. Like the Bobby Fish one makes me feel bad. The Titus O'Neil one makes me feel great.
Yeah.
So, all right, what do you have for 4?
This is a cringe one, because it shouldn't have been done. And in the moment, I like recoiled a bit because it's like, oh, that's just not okay for you to do. The feud between Paige and Charlotte Flair.
Oh, fuck yes.
When Paige mentioned Charlotte's dead brother Reed, it was not only unnecessary, not only did neither one of the two performers really want to do it, but it's just so fucking like cringe. Like I cringed hearing that because it's one of those, like, this feud was personal without the real life
heated
shit.
enough.
Yeah, like was Rick not enough? Like, could they not just use it? Because that's what they were doing. They were using,
and also
Rick.
Just the general story that was being told between Paige and Charlotte was fine. You don't need to dive into this well. And there's actually a whole subset of like specifically WWE going too far with personal things and inserting them into feuds. Like I think of the way some people reacted to the Eddie's in Hell Randy Orton promo. Like they do this a couple times and then they try to like peel it back. And this one was immediate where they like were, oh fuck no, like you can't do that. But
when that happens, that's how you know it has to be on the list.
This isn't my answer for my number 5. But seeing Paige and Charlotte, do you remember when they came up to the main roster, Charlotte and Becky, and they were they were with all together with Paige? Do you remember what they were called?
Sorority,
which is a porn site, and nobody Googled that.
Admittedly, I feel like almost anything is a porn site at this point.
Shit, is our podcast a porn site?
It might be. It might be.
We should double check that. That's a really funny one. All right, I got one more left. I'm torn between 2 things. I'm gonna rapid fire some later that like just go through my list. I think I'm gonna go to AEW for one, just to put them on the list, just so they're on the list. 2 people that you think of like first when it comes to AEW: Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, like 2 of the premier people for AEW. AEW Revolution 2021, they're going to settle their long blood feud in the exploding barbed wire death match.
Long blood feud. I don't know about all that.
I'm still top level feud. All right. Exploding barbed wire death match. So the match ends, and then the ring is going to explode. And is it Eddie Kingston who goes in the ring?
Yes. For those who don't know, this is a callback to a famous match in FMW with 2 performers whose names I am blanking. I am bad with names today. I was talking to Evan about this before the podcast. I could not, on my list here of things that I jotted down as possible selections for me, I think like 4 of them. There's probably like 20 items here. 4 of them have names. The rest of them have descriptors of people who I definitely know but can't think of their names right now. But the match in FMW happens. One of the guys wins the match. The other guy's not moving. And the counter is about to go off. So the person who won the match goes back into the ring, covers the guy, and then like legitimate explosions happen around them in a safe enough way. It's FMW, not fully safe. But it looks fucking cool. It's one of the coolest visuals in the history of pro wrestling, like legitimately. AEW did not do that.
No. The explosion, and I use that word so loosely, was the equivalent of like Brock Lesnar's sparklers when he would jump up onto the ring. Like that was the explosion. And Eddie Kingston was like honestly acting his ass off. But it was so like it was I think one of the first times AEW fully got clowned on Twitter. Because up until then, like AEW was like the darling, right? They were the hot new thing. This was the first one where people were like, okay, that sucked. Like, you now have to deal with the repercussions of doing a thing that sucked. And honestly, AEW's taken it in stride because they make fun of it in their video game. Like in Fight Forever, they make fun of it.
Yeah. It was Onita against Terry Funk, by the way. That's what it was.
There you go. So that's my fifth is the exploding barbed wire death match, Revolution 2021. Yeah, exploding in heavy quotations. All right, what do you got?
Well, since I have the last pick and I don't have to worry about you, I can run down a selection of things here.
Pick one, and then I want to go back and forth rapid fire with embarrassing things we can remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Of yours, literally none of them have been on my list. So I know we have a long, long list of things to go through. So.
Oh, there's so many things I can pick here. What exactly am I going to do? I'm going to do... Back when NXT was the game show still...
Okay.
There was a gentleman, or they did like a promo little segment here where everyone had to cut a little mini promo on something. And there's a guy whose name I cannot remember. Eli Cottonwood? Eli Cottonwood. Cut a promo in which he says mustaches are stupid or something like that. And he's like, but then he talks about he has a mustache and he's like, mine's great. I don't know what the fuck he says. But it's just, I've never felt so like, oh my God, this person's bombing in front of me as I did watching that video.
Have you ever seen like a comedian bomb?
I've seen comedians bomb, but more because like the audience are kind of being assholes to the fact that this person's just not that good. More so than a comedian like actually bombing.
Yeah.
So no, I haven't really, and I don't.
But Eli Cottonwood was close.
Eli Cottonwood was about as close as Eli Cottonwood's promo is probably like the Joker, like reciting those jokes at the club, and then no one's laughing.
It's a mustache moment. He talks about the mustache moment. It's really bad. I have seen this promo. It's not a good time.
It's bad. It's really, really bad. Everything about it is terrible, and I do not envy being Eli Cottonwood because for the rest of his life, he would just be known as the mustache promo guy. All
right. Rapid fire, back and forth, other things on your list. Okay. When Christian re-debuted in February of 2009, and Todd Grisham just said, it's Christian. That was bad.
CM Punk in the promo battle with MJF where he just randomly goes, when I came back, I was scared, but I'm not scared anymore. And he says it in just the dumbest way possible. Cringe. Absolute cringe.
Sid pooping himself at WrestleMania 13.
Everything about Sammy Guevara.
Fair. Sid not knowing that they were live. We're live, pal.
JBO's commentary in that Jillian Hall Michelle McCool match.
Yes. The Bailey This Is Your Life segment with Alexa Bliss.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that? It's so bad. Plus, that also leads to Bailey not knowing how to use a kendo stick in their Extreme Rules match and just refusing to do it.
The Old Day segment.
Oh my God, the Old Day segment was bad. Drake Maverick pissing himself as the manager of Authors of Pain.
Bobby Lashley's sisters.
Cameron
one of them being what's his? Oh, why am I blanking? From the Acclaimed,
Max Caster. Oh, Max Caster. Cameron asking the ref to count the pin when Naomi is face down.
Michael Cole and Heidenreich.
Cameron saying her favorite match is Alicia Fox versus Melina.
Kazuchika Okada's whole thing with the balloon after he lost to Jay White.
This is very specific and niche, and I feel like you've heard of this or seen this too. On the Squared Circle subreddit, there was somebody who posted that for their drama class, they did a dramatic reading of the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, and that's the cringiest thing I've ever heard in my life. It hurts me deep in my soul. It's just so embarrassing.
But also, I fucks with that. I like that.
Really? No.
I like that. Nah, I like that. Because what are you doing? What, like a fucking line, a couple lines from Goodfellas?
I will tell you that when I auditioned for a high school musical in when I was in high school, you had to memorize a monologue, and you had to sing a song. And I sung a song from Wicked, As Long As You're Mine.
I was about to say.
And I was the only guy apparently who did the a monologue from the movie Ali, which is the interview with Howard Cosell, where he talks about Joe Frazier going up and he never coming down. You're supposed to be embarrassing when you're in high school. It's fine.
Mine would be Sense of a Woman, the Al Pacino line where he's like, if I were younger, I would take a flamethrower to this place. And my song would probably be fucking waving through a window.
Do you have any more embarrassing moments? Not from your life, but from wrestling.
Matt Riddle. Everything about Matt Riddle, especially the birds that come out when he kicks his sandals.
Santina Marella, especially winning the WrestleMania 25 Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal.
Tony Khan, whenever he has to cut a promo in any capacity, whether it be pre-recorded or live.
Yeah, both of those were bad. The time that Rob Gronkowski got stopped by the security guard at WrestleMania when he was trying to hop the guardrail. I felt so bad for that security guard because she is very much just doing her job.
Oh my god, I should have picked this one for the fucking draft. Lex Luger when he got the count-out victory at SummerSlam against Yokozuna, and he celebrated like he'd won the world title.
Mae Young births a hand.
The hand comes back 20 years later.
Raw Underground.
Shane McMahon tearing his quad at WrestleMania this year.
It's a family business. What we're getting at is that wrestling is consistently so embarrassing and so cringe.
I actually, like I said, my girlfriend saw like a TikTok on the 2005 Royal Rumble ending where Vince tears both of his quads. And I'm like, oh yeah. So his son-in-law, Triple H, she knows Triple H by name.
Yeah.
Tore his quads on 2 separate occasions. And this year at WrestleMania, his actual son, Shane McMahon, tore his quad.
I have one more. Hulk Hogan failing to get the fireball off against Ultimate Warrior using the flash paper.
I have another one involving Hulk Hogan. That chokeslam that he took against The Undertaker to lose the title.
Yes. So wrestling's full of embarrassing moments. You should get in the comments and tell us any embarrassing moments we missed or what one you would have taken first overall, because my God, when I came up with the idea for this draft, I didn't realize how long this list would be.
We are barely scratching like the surface of it.
There's so much more. There's so much more.
Infinitely more things. There's also, the fucking Blake Christian, or Christian Blake, whatever the fuck that guy's name is, that independent wrestler I saw the other night had a thing where he like faked doing a dive or a suicide dive, got no reaction because he did it for heat, got 0 reaction from the crowd, and then just fucking did the suicide dive.
Also, Goldust as 7. All right. Tell us who had the better draft. Tell us who won this week's episode of Crossbody Drafts. Follow Javier wherever he tells you.
On the Twitter machine at JMLO Sports.
Follow me as well at 7Gomes, ITSEVANGOMES. Follow the podcast, most importantly, on Instagram, on Twitter, at Crossbody of Work, and of course, here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We're on our road to 100 subscribers. Be part of the crew. Get in here with us. I just said grew instead of crew because I couldn't decide between group and crew. So now we are stealing the moon. Thanks for joining us.
I can't do crew.
I was going to say, that might have been Al Pacino. Wow, we're stealing the moon. We'll be back soon with another episode of Crossbody Drafts. We'll talk to you then.
A flamethrower to this place.